Hello and welcome to another video on plant physiology by Perfect's course. This is Preetinder Kaur and we are still doing the topic of transpiration and plant physiology. So far we've already discussed what is the meaning of transpiration and we've done in brief what are the processes involved in the uptake of water. So what we're going to do is just quickly revise that. So from the soil, lots of materials, they have to go to the roots. From the roots, finally, through the stem and through the xylem vessels, those materials leave and they have to reach the leaves. And from the leaves, finally, they go into the atmosphere. But what are the processes involved in that? First of all, when it comes to water, for water, the process that we learned about in the previous video was osmosis, because what water has to do is just move from a high concentration area, which is soil, into a low concentration area, which is a root. Coming to mineral ions. For mineral ions, the process that we use is active transport, because here the mineral ions have to move against the concentration gradient. Because remember, more concentration of ions is there in the roots already as compared to the ion concentration in the soil. Apart from that, sometimes there is facilitated diffusion of certain ions. So let me make a note of that, facilitated diffusion, and that takes place through potassium. And also we did one mutualistic relationship, which is between a fungus and a root. So fungal hyphae, they also help in transporting the minerals from the soil to the root. Then finally, from the root, how does everything get to the leaves? That is through the pull of transpiration. So let me write it down, transpiration, pull, and two more important forces. One is cohesive force, which is between water and water, and the other one is known as adhesive force, which is between water and the cells. And finally, the water leaves these leaves through the process of transpiration. So this is the process if we like to summarize it. Now let's go through what happens in the roots in detail. So let me draw a diagram for that. So this is a rough diagram of the root. Now this part over here, this extension that you can see, this is the root hair. And water has to enter from these soil particles into the root hair. So this is the direction of the entry of water and the ions. Now two kinds of roots are followed. Now these are the epidermal cells. And just remember, when the transport takes place through the cytoplasm directly, for example, hair to hair, from the cytoplasm directly, that is known as symplastic movement. Symplastic is always direct through the cytoplasm, but when it goes through the plasma membrane, that is known as apoplastic. And in case of roots, both the processes are followed. So this is for symplastic, and for the apoplastic, it's through the cell membrane or through the plasma membrane like this. And finally, all the water that is collected over here, it goes to these vessels. So let's call these as the xylem vessels. So this is the vascular tissue, the xylem vessels and tracheids, and slowly water reaches from hair to hair. And coming to this diagram is an example of an epidermal cell in the root. Now, I hope you remember from the videos that we did on root morphology and structure that there is a specialized thickening known as a Casparian strip in these root cells. That is just very common for all the neighboring cells of the root hair, and they help in keeping it strong and sturdy. Whenever minerals, they easily flow through diffusion. So let me just write it down. When minerals, they flow through diffusion, and water, it flows through osmosis, which is the most natural way of flow of these materials. This is known as a bulk flow or a mass flow. So let me write it down, a bulk flow or a mass flow. So I hope this was all quite clear to you. How does the entire process take place? So I hope this was quite clear how the water and the minerals, they finally move through the different processes. And this is all that we'll be covering in this video. What we will do in the next video is a little more detail how water comes out of the leaf through the stomata and what are the factors that affect the opening and the closing of the stoma or the pores. Additionally, we'll also discuss a little bit about the adaptations that certain plants have to conserve water and to reduce the rate of transpiration in desert environments or in saline environments. So that is all for this video. Thank you so much for watching this one. Bye bye.